Hi everyone, welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you're a returning watcher. I'm George, I'm the Good Lad Gamer, and today we're going to be pulling Sacred Shards for the Summon Rush event needed for Eostrid? I don't quite know how to pronounce her name, but as you can see, I've been plugging away. I've got 65 fragments out of 100. Hopefully, after this video today, I'll have 80 fragments, and then I've just got a little bit to go to be able to guarantee this legendary champion. And to complete the summoning rush, as always, I'm going to be pulling Sacred Shards. You need about 7 Sacred Shards for the Summon Rush event. So it's 500 points per Sacred Shard. And to get the both lots of fragments needed for this champion, you need to pull 3,150, or I'm going to pull 3,500 if I do it in Sacred Shards. So hopefully we'll be able to get another legendary champion, maybe one on each account, because I'll be pulling 7 sacreds on each of my 2 accounts. Hopefully we get another legendary champion, or maybe even a couple out of this video, and hopefully we'll be able to celebrate by the end of it. I've had some pretty bad luck recently, so it'd be really nice if I could get a legendary champion out of these shard pulls. And before we get into pulling shards, guys, I just want to say, if you enjoy my content and want to see more of it, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Subscribing makes a huge amount of difference to me. I've currently got about 200 subscribers, and I want to be able to reach 250, and that'll tell me that I'm making good content that people actually enjoy and want to see more of. So if you like my content and want to see more of it, like the video, subscribe to my channel. Let's get into pulling some shards. So here we are on the Kale account, guys, and we're going to be pulling 7 Sacred Shards. We do, in fact, have a ×2 on Legendary and Epic Champions this weekend, and there's also a ×10 chance on Falmond Moorsword. Falmond Moorsword. So maybe we can get him. I will go into his kit if I get him, and I'll go into the kit of any legendary champions that we do pull. So I think that's about it for housekeeping. I guess we'll just get straight into it. Fingers crossed we get another legendary. That would be really nice. Straight off the bat, we got an epic, not so good to see. Corpse Collector, not interested in epics. I only want to see legendaries. I'm only going to talk about legendaries. Epics are great. They're great at this point that I've been playing the game so long that they're sort of extra food, or maybe even champions that I can use for Lady Mikage. So I am keeping an eye out for those, but I'm mostly just looking for legendary champions. We've got Bovos, Sharphorn, not interested. Moving on. A legendary, come on. Another epic. I didn't do a video last weekend. It was a ×2 on Ancients. I didn't do a video because I just didn't quite have time over the weekend, but I only pulled Ancients that I needed to pull to get the shards for this fusion or fragment summons. So I've still got a big bank of Ancients ready to go, so when the next ×2 comes around, I'll have even more, maybe even sort of 200 per account. That'd be really nice. But carrying on with the Sacreds, let's go. Come on. And it's a legendary. That is nice to see. And it's Shemnath. I think Shemnath is one of these really good champions, but I've never built Shemnath properly. But I think Shemnath can be really useful in Clan Boss. But I have one on one of my accounts. I have a copy of Shemnath on one of my accounts, and I think he or she is really good, but I've never quite looked into it. I've got an unkillable team. I don't want to sort of mess it up, so I've never really looked into it. But let's look into their kit and see what he or she is about. So on Shemnath's A1, we've got attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30% chance of placing a decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. That's it on that one. 2 times, decreased defense. On the A2, transfers all debuffs from this champion to a target enemy, then attacks the enemy 3 times. The first hit increases the duration of all debuffs on the target by 1. The second hit decreases duration of all buffs on the target by 1. Also increases the duration of all buffs on this champion by 1 after attacking. So I guess that could be used for the increase attack on the clan boss. But I don't really know. I guess Shemnath can't use this if they're stunned, so I don't know if that would work to sort of get rid of the stun. Maybe you can make Shemnath the stun target, but I can't really see this being extra useful for Clan Boss personally. And then on Shemnath's A3, attacks all enemies 2 times. The first hit removes all buffs. The second hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense against targets that have no buffs active. So I guess Shemnath would use the A2 and then the A3, so the A2 gets rid of any buffs on the target. And then on the passive, increases this champion's accuracy by 10 for each buff on each enemy, increases this champion's crit damage by 5% for each debuff on each enemy. So I guess Shemnath, if there's a massive increase on crit damage, then could be a really good champion for clan boss. If you've got a poisoner with them, then that crit damage would just increase and increase. And if you had a debuff extender like a Vizier, then maybe this could stay on for the whole fight. The poisons would stay on for the whole fight, which means the increased crit damage will stay on for the whole fight as well. Potentially, not really sure, but that's Shemnath's kit. We got a legendary, so that's great to see. I'm really happy with that. And hopefully we get a couple more maybe. Hopefully one on the other account, that would be really nice. But moving on, we've gone through Shemnath's kit, and I can guarantee we're just going to get epics for the rest of them, and I'm going to be really unhappy. We got a Melga Steel Girdle. Not interested in another epic. Moving on. Although I think Melga's seen some use in the Cursed City, but I'm not 100% sure. And then we've got a Surin. Not sure how to say that one. On to the last one. I think this is the last one though, and then we'll move on to the other account. We'll do exactly the same over there. And we've got a Pharsalus Grave Dirt, but another epic, so not interested. And we did get a legendary on the Kale account, so I'm very happy with that. I'll go over onto my Galek account and we'll do exactly the same over there. Just before we go onto the other account, I'll just show you guys the Summon Rush event. So we nearly got the barrel, but I'm not that interested in the barrel. I farm up the pot dungeons every day. In fact, I do it every day. I do the different ones every day, so I always have enough pots, but I also get quite a lot of XP brews through doing that. So the barrels I'm not that interested in, to be honest, but I don't know. Maybe by the end of this weekend, maybe I'll have enough points for the XP barrel, but I'm not that interested. I'll take the energy because there's a champion training event on at the moment, so I'm going to need that energy massively. So yeah, now I will definitely go onto the other account and we'll pull those shards. And here we are on the Galek account, and I am ready for a legendary on this one. I am so ready for this, so let's get into it. Shard number 1, a legendary straight out of the bat. An epic, of course. I don't think I've ever had a legendary straight out of the bat. I've had it on my first 10 pull, but not the first champion in a shard pull video. Adriel, not interested. Moving on, just going to be food in the long run, I'm afraid. There's not very many epics that don't just become food at this point. Bloodfeather, definitely not interested. I think Bloodfeather is used. It's a legendary. There we go. And we've got Jag Bonesaw. I've actually pulled Jag Bonesaw quite recently, and I didn't think too much of him, but someone in the comments said that he's really good for Cursed City at the moment, so maybe a champion that if you pull him this weekend, a champion that you might want to look into. Definitely if he's your only legendary in your roster, or one of the only legendaries in your roster, he's definitely worth building out. He is an attack champion. He does have low survivability stats, but maybe if he's the only one you've got, or if he's the only one you can really work with, you make him your damage dealer, and then you use all your support champions to look after him. So on Jag's A1, attacks one enemy, steals 10% of the target's turn meter, has a 25% chance of repeating this skill. On his A2, attacks one enemy 2 times, before attacking, transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target. Damage from the first hit increases by 10% for each debuff transferred. Then applies a debuff spread effect, takes 2 random debuffs from the target and places them on all enemies. Damage from this second hit increases by 5% for each debuff transferred, and each debuff applied through the debuff spread. And on his A3, attacks all enemies before attacking, removes all buffs from all enemies. Damage increases by 5% for each buff removed. Fills this champion's turn meter by 15% for each enemy killed by this skill. So he removes debuffs and buffs from the enemies, and then he does a big smack to take them out, basically. So if you've got champions champions like Valkyrie in waves and stuff like that, then maybe he's a good champion to have, because he'll remove their counter-attack buff, and then that will increase his damage, and then he can take out the whole gang. And then on its passive, at the start of this champion's turn, places a 50% increase accuracy buff and a 30% increase crit damage buff on them for 1 turn. At the end of this champion's turn, places a 30% decrease crit rate debuff and a 25% decrease crit damage debuff on the enemy with the highest crit damage for 1 turn. So I guess that creates a little bit of survivability for a sort of enemy team, the damage dealer and enemy team for PvP maybe, or something like that. As I said, I personally wasn't that into his kit. I've got champions that do the same sort of job that he would do in a team, and I don't really think he replaces any of them, but a legendary nonetheless. And I think off the top of my head, I left the first copy of that legendary on this account, so now I have a Jag Bonesaw on both of my accounts, which is great. I don't know if I'll ever build them out on either account, but a new legendary is a new legendary. Moving on though, let's go on to the next shard, and hopefully we can get another legendary out of this, because that was quite early on. I don't know how many shards I pulled before him, 2 maybe. Flyja? I don't know how to say that one. The dwarves always have a name that I don't know how to pronounce, but moving on, it was an epic. I'm not that interested. Another epic. A Sepulchre Sentinel, a really good champion early game, I would say. She's got a decreased attack on her A1, which makes her quite viable for clan boss. And if you speed tune her right, then she can block debuffs and block the stun of the clan boss. But you need all of your champions then to be in a 2-for-1 for every turn that the clan boss takes, your team takes 2. So then she can block the debuffs. I'm not sure on the math of that, don't quote me on that, but that's how it worked out for me. On to the next one though, an epic. She's going to be food. I've had Sepulchre on both of my accounts. I've used her on both accounts, but she's been replaced. Armina, one of the decreased defense epics that they brought out. They brought out a load at the same time. So you've got sort of Duck, the Pierced, Armina, and a couple of other champions like that, Ugo. I still stick to Stag Knight as my go-to epic decreased defense champion. He's definitely my go-to. On to the next one though. Stag Knight, there's something about him. There's the way I built him. He's just a really good champion. He's really survivable, and he does the decreased defense and decreased attack. So that's who I go for. Sikara, an epic support from the Barbarians. Don't know anything about Sikara, not interested. Moving on. That was actually the last one, so we'll go and make sure we got the points, and that'll be that. So picking up all of this, picking up the energy again, because there's a champion training on. I definitely need the energy. And that's it for the shard pool. And that is it for the summon rush. I've pulled all 14 of the sacred shards that I wanted to pull. I've definitely got the fragments ready to go. So now I've got 85 fragments on each of my accounts ready to go, ready for this weekend to farm out some more dungeons and make sure I get this Eostrid. Is that what we're going to call her? Make sure I get Eostrid at the end of it, a guaranteed legendary champion. Please do let me know if you got any champions that you're not sure of. You're not sure of the kits, or if they match into your teams, or if even you've got some of the sort of big hitter champions that you've always wanted, even if they don't necessarily have a place in your account. I didn't get any of this on this shard pool, but I don't really know how many there is for me in the future anyway, because I've got some of the big hitting champions, some of the big boys that are used in the real end game of this game. As always though guys, please let me know if you enjoy my content, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I will see you next time.